Welcome, dear listener, to Alovea Meditation and Sleep. We cherish you for visiting us today. You are not here by luck. You are meant to be here in this very moment. You want some relaxation, some detangling, a clear vision, and a calm from the noise. Are you ready? Let's do this. Find a quiet place, free from noise and distractions. We will need your full cooperation for this meditation to work. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let your mind wander to a place of peace and serenity. I'm going to take you on a journey to the whispering forest. Once upon a time, in a land far away, there was a small village nestled between tall mountains and rolling hills. In this village lived a young soul named Alara, who had always felt a deep connection to nature. She loved the sound of the wind rustling through the leaves, the gentle flow of the river, and the soft chirping of the birds at dawn. But there was one place Alara had never visited, the whispering forest. It was said that those who entered the forest would hear the trees speak in soft, calming voices, sharing wisdom and secrets of the world. Alara had always been curious, but also a little afraid. One day, feeling a pull she couldn't ignore, Alara decided it was time to enter the forest. As she approached the edge of the woods, the sun was just beginning to set, casting a warm golden glow on everything it touched. She took a deep breath, closed her eyes for a moment, and then stepped into the forest. Imagine yourself in Alara's shoes. Picture the forest, the sounds, the colors. What does it feel like? Can you hear the trees beginning to whisper? Alara continued her journey, and soon she came across a clearing where the moonlight poured in, illuminating a circle of ancient, towering trees. She sat down in the center of the clearing, feeling the soft moss beneath her fingers. The whispers of the trees grew clearer, and Alara listened closely. Now, imagine the feel of that cool water on your skin. Let it wash away any worries or fears you may be holding on to. The trees spoke to Alara about patience, reminding her that just as they had grown tall and strong over many years, so too does every soul need time to grow. They told her of the importance of staying rooted, of being grounded in her beliefs and values, even when the storms of life try to uproot her. Listen carefully. What are the trees saying to you? What wisdom are they sharing? They whispered of the beauty of change, how the seasons come and go, and how change is a natural and necessary part of life. They encouraged Alara to embrace change rather than fear it. Think about the wisdom the trees are sharing. Is there a message that resonates with you? Let it sink in. Let it become a part of you. As the night grew deeper, Alara felt a deep sense of peace. She realized that the whispering forest was not a place to fear, but a place to find herself, to connect with the world around her. The whispers had become a part of her, a gentle reminder that she was never alone. With a heart full of gratitude, Alara stood up and slowly made her way back to the village. But now, every time she heard the wind rustling through the trees or the water flowing in the stream, she would smile, knowing that the whispers of the forest were with her, guiding her every step of the way. And now, dear listener, as our journey to the whispering forest comes to an end, Take a moment to reflect on what you've heard, on the messages that have spoken to your heart. Carry this wisdom with you, knowing that just like Alara, you too can find peace and guidance in the whispers of the world around you.
The river of reflection.
Let your mind drift to a peaceful, serene river where the water is so clear it reflects everything around it. Join me as we explore the river of reflection. In a distant land, there was a river known as the River of Reflection. This river was unique. Its waters were crystal clear, reflecting not just the physical world, but the inner truths of anyone who gazed into it. The river flowed through a tranquil forest, surrounded by towering trees and vibrant flora, and it was said that those who sought understanding would find it in its depths. A traveler named Amara had been wandering the land in search of answers. She felt lost, unsure of her path in life, burdened by mistakes and regrets. One day, her journey led her to the River of Reflection. Drawn by its calm and inviting presence, Amara knelt beside the river and looked into its surface. To her surprise, she didn't just see her face. She saw the emotions she had buried deep within, her fears, her joys, and the decisions that had led her to this moment. As she continued to gaze into the water, the reflections began to change. She saw scenes from her past, moments where she had been kind, and moments where she had faltered. The river showed her the impact of her actions, both good and bad. Amara felt a deep sense of sorrow for the mistakes she had made, but also a profound sense of relief as she realized that she could change her future by learning from her past. The river whispered to her, its voice as soft as the rustling leaves. True reflection leads to understanding, and understanding leads to forgiveness. Forgive yourself, and you will find the path forward. With a renewed sense of clarity, Amara stood up, feeling lighter than she had in years. She knew now that to move forward, she needed to embrace both the light and the shadow within her, using the lessons of her past to guide her future. Now, dear listener, imagine standing by the river of reflection. Look into its depths. What do you see? Allow the river to show you something about yourself that you may have overlooked. Take a moment to reflect on what you've learned. As the river flows, so too does life. Embrace the reflections you see and let them guide you toward a brighter future.
The clock of reflection.
Picture an ornate clock, its hands moving slowly, ticking softly. This is the clock of reflection, where time slows down, allowing you to look back and understand your journey. Let's listen to its ticking together. In an old town square, there stood a magnificent clock tower that had been there for centuries. This clock, known as the clock of reflection, had a unique ability. It could slow down time, allowing those who gazed upon it to reflect on their lives, to see how their past had shaped their present. A woman named Clara, who had recently retired, came to the clock of reflection. She had spent her life working tirelessly, raising a family, and now, with time on her hands, she felt a deep sense of restlessness. Clara hoped that the clock could help her understand the path she had walked and what lay ahead. As Clara stood before the clock, she watched its hands move slowly, almost imperceptibly. She felt time itself begin to stretch, giving her the space to think, to remember, to reflect. Memories from her past began to surface. Her first job, the birth of her children, the challenges and triumphs that had marked her journey. With each memory, Clara saw how the choices she had made, the people she had met, and the experiences she had lived through had all woven together to create the life she now had. She realized that while she had always been moving forward, she had rarely taken the time to look back and appreciate how far she had come. The clock of reflection showed Clara that her life was not just a series of events, but a rich tapestry of moments, each thread contributing to the whole. As she observed the slow-moving hands of the clock, Clara began to understand that her past, filled with both triumphs and struggles, had shaped her into the person she had become. The clock offered her a profound sense of connection to her own journey. With each tick of the clock, Clara found herself revisiting different chapters of her life. She saw how the challenges she faced had built her resilience, and how the joyous moments had added color and warmth to her existence. The clock allowed her to see that every choice, whether large or small, had played a role in leading her to where she was now. As Clara reflected on her past, she began to feel a deep sense of gratitude for her experiences. She realized that her restlessness stemmed from a desire to make sense of her life's purpose, now that the daily demands of work and family were no longer her primary focus. The clock of reflection helped her see that this period of her life could be an opportunity for new beginnings, guided by the wisdom she had gained over the years. Clara understood that while her past had been a significant part of her identity, it did not define her future. The clock's gentle ticking reminded her that time continues to move forward, offering new possibilities with each passing moment. She saw that she could use her past experiences as a foundation to build something meaningful in her retirement, whether it was pursuing a new passion, reconnecting with old friends, or exploring new interests. With a renewed sense of clarity and purpose, Clara left the town square feeling at peace. The clock of reflection had given her the gift of understanding, helping her to embrace her past while looking forward to the future with hope and anticipation. She was ready to embark on the next chapter of her life, confident that her experiences had prepared her well for whatever lay ahead. Imagine standing before the clock of reflection, watching its hands move slowly, What memories and experiences come to mind? How have these moments shaped who you are today? Take a moment to reflect on your own journey and consider how you can use your past to guide your future. The clock of reflection teaches us that by taking the time to look back, we can gain valuable insights into our journey. Understanding and appreciating our past allows us to move forward with a renewed sense of purpose and direction.
The Garden of Gratitude.
Envision a lush, vibrant garden filled with blooming flowers of every color and scent. Each blossom here is unique, representing something precious. This is the Garden of Gratitude. In a peaceful valley, there was a garden unlike any other, known as the Garden of Gratitude. This garden was cared for by a young woman named Leela, who had a special gift. Each flower in the garden bloomed from her expressions of gratitude. The more she appreciated the world around her, the more the garden flourished, filling the air with sweet fragrances and vibrant colors. Lila's life was filled with joy, and her garden was the envy of many. However, as time passed, Leela began to take things for granted. She no longer paused to appreciate the warmth of the sun, the cool breeze, or the songs of the birds. Slowly, the garden began to change. The flowers lost their luster, and the once vibrant blooms started to wilt. One morning, Lila walked through the garden and was struck by how dull it had become. She felt a pang of sadness, realizing that her neglect of gratitude had caused the garden to wither. Determined to restore it, Lila sat quietly in the center of the garden, closed her eyes, and began to reflect on all the things she was grateful for. Her family, her friends, the simple pleasures of life. With each thought, a small flower began to bloom around her, restoring the garden's beauty. Lila learned that gratitude, like a garden, must be tended to daily. She realized that by appreciating even the smallest things, she could bring beauty and abundance into her life. From that day on, Lila made it a habit to start and end each day by expressing gratitude, and the garden flourished more than ever before. Imagine yourself walking through Lila's garden. What are you grateful for today? As you think of each thing, watch as a new flower blooms before your eyes, filling the garden with life and color. Gratitude is the soil from which all happiness grows. Nurture it, and your life will bloom in ways you never imagined.
The mirror of truth.
Step into a grand, echoing hall where a single, ornate mirror stands at the center. This is no ordinary mirror. It reflects not just your appearance, but the truth within. Welcome to the mirror of truth. In a vast and ancient castle, deep within its halls, stood the mirror of truth. This mirror was legendary. Those who dared to look into it would see not just their physical reflection, but the true essence of their being. It showed their strengths, their weaknesses, and the impact of their choices. Many feared to stand before it, but those who did were said to leave with a profound understanding of themselves. A young noble named Serafina had always been confident in her appearance and abilities, but she was also aware of the doubts and insecurities that lurked beneath the surface. She heard stories of the mirror of truth and decided to seek it out, hoping it would confirm her strengths and dispel her fears. But as she approached the mirror, she hesitated, suddenly afraid of what it might reveal. Gathering her courage, Serafina stepped before the mirror. At first, she saw only her outward appearance, but slowly the image began to shift. The mirror showed her moments from her life, times when she had been kind, but also times when she had been selfish, times when she had acted bravely, and times when she had been ruled by fear. The mirror revealed her deepest insecurities, her hidden regrets, and the parts of herself she had tried to ignore. But alongside these flaws, the mirror also showed her strength, resilience, and the love she had given and received. It reflected the full complexity of who she was, neither condemning nor praising, but simply showing the truth. As Serafina gazed into the mirror, she realized that to truly understand herself, she needed to accept both her light and her shadow. The mirror of truth taught her that self-acceptance was the key to growth. Only by embracing all parts of herself could she become the person she aspired to be. With a newfound sense of clarity, Serafina left the mirror, feeling more complete and ready to face the world. Now, dear listener, imagine standing before the mirror of truth. What does it reveal to you? Don't shy away from what you see. Embrace it and allow the truth to guide you on your path to self-acceptance. The truth, though sometimes difficult to face, is a powerful ally. Embrace it, and it will light your way to a more authentic life.
The Lantern Keeper's Secret.
Picture yourself in a quaint, ancient village where each night the soft glow of lanterns lights the way. I'm going to share with you the story of the Lantern Keeper and the secret that keeps the village aglow. In a village nestled between misty hills, a wise old lantern keeper named Aemon had the responsibility of lighting the lanterns every evening. These lanterns weren't ordinary, they were enchanted, filled with a gentle golden light that guided villagers through the dark, winding streets. But the light wasn't just magic. It was fueled by Eamon's pure-hearted thoughts and acts of kindness throughout the day. Eamon's light had never faltered until one day when he began to feel the weight of his years. The villagers noticed that the lanterns were dimmer, flickering uncertainly. A young boy named Milo, curious and kind-hearted, offered to help Eamon. As they walked through the village, Eamon shared his secret. The lanterns reflect the light within our hearts. When my thoughts are kind and my actions pure, the light shines bright. But as my heart grows weary, so too does the light. Milo realized that the light wasn't just Eamon's responsibility. It belonged to everyone in the village. With newfound determination, Milo began performing small acts of kindness, helping his neighbors and thinking positive thoughts. Slowly, he noticed that the lanterns near him burned brighter. Soon, others in the village followed Milo's example, and the entire village was aglow with the warmth of their shared kindness. Now, dear listener, imagine holding a lantern of your own. What thoughts or deeds would you place inside to make it shine? Picture the light growing brighter with every positive action you take. Remember, the light we share with others can brighten even the darkest night. Let your kindness be the lantern that guides others.
The whispering winds.
Feel the soft breeze on your face as we journey to a mountaintop, where the winds carry ancient wisdom through the air. Listen closely, for the whispering winds have much to share. High atop a mountain range, there existed a sacred place where the whispering winds blew continuously. These winds were said to carry the voices of the ancestors, sharing their wisdom with those who listened. The path to the mountaintop was long and arduous, but the knowledge gained there was worth every step. A young seeker named Kai, feeling lost and uncertain in life, decided to make the journey to the mountaintop in search of answers. He had many questions about his purpose, his place in the world, and the challenges he faced. As he climbed higher and higher, the air grew thin, and the wind began to carry faint whispers. By the time he reached the summit, the wind was a symphony of voices, each one sharing fragments of wisdom from ages past. Kai sat on the edge of the peak, closed his eyes, and listened. The winds spoke of patience, reminding him that growth and understanding take time. They spoke of resilience, telling him that challenges are opportunities in disguise, meant to strengthen and teach. They spoke of love, the most powerful force of all, encouraging him to lead with his heart in all he did. As Kai listened, he realized that the answers he sought were not external, but already within him. The winds merely helped him to uncover what he already knew. With this new understanding, Kai felt a deep sense of peace. He understood that the journey to the mountaintop was not about finding answers from outside, but about reconnecting with the wisdom he already carried within. Close your eyes and imagine standing on the mountaintop with Kai. Listen to the whispering winds. What do they tell you? Allow their ancient wisdom to resonate within you, guiding you towards the answers you seek. The winds of wisdom are always around us if we take the time to listen. Trust in the knowledge within you and let it guide your way.
The path of patience.
Walk with me down a winding path through a quiet, serene forest. This is no ordinary path. It's the path of patience, where time seems to slow and every step is a lesson. In a tranquil forest, far from the hustle and bustle of daily life, there was a path known as the path of patience. The path was known for its beauty, but also for the way it challenged those who walked it to slow down and appreciate the journey rather than rush to the destination. A young artist named Leif, frustrated by his lack of progress and feeling the pressure of expectations, sought solace in the forest. He had heard of the path of patience and hoped it might offer him some clarity. As he stepped onto the path, he immediately noticed the quiet, the way the trees whispered in the breeze, and the gentle rustling of leaves underfoot. Leif's natural instinct was to walk quickly, eager to reach the end of the path. But the more he hurried, the more he missed. He realized that the beauty of the forest was in its details, the intricate patterns of the leaves, the soft glow of sunlight filtering through the branches, the sound of a distant stream. Slowly, Leif began to slow his pace, taking in each step, each moment. As he walked, Leif noticed small signs left by those who had walked the path before him. They were messages of patience and reminders to embrace the present. Patience nurtures creativity. One sign read, "The journey is as important as the destination," read another. Leif felt his frustrations melting away as he absorbed the wisdom of the path. He realized that his art, like the path, was a journey, Each stroke of the brush, each moment of inspiration was part of the process. There was no need to rush. By the time Leif reached the end of the path, he had gained a deep understanding of the value of patience. He felt more connected to his work, more at peace with the pace of his progress. The path of patience had taught him that great things take time, and that the journey itself is a work of art. Now imagine yourself walking the path of patience with Leif. What details do you notice around you? What part of your life needs a little more time and patience? Breathe deeply and let go of the need to rush. Patience is not about waiting, but about understanding that everything happens in its own time. Embrace the journey and trust in the process.
The starry wisdom.
Look up at the night sky, filled with countless stars twinkling above. Each one has a story, a lesson to share. Join me as we explore the starry wisdom. In a small village under a vast, star-filled sky, the elders often told stories about the stars. They believed that each star held the wisdom of those who had come before, and that by listening closely, one could hear their stories. A young girl named Mira, full of curiosity and wonder, loved to gaze at the stars each night. She felt a deep connection to them, as if they were old friends guiding her through life. One evening, as the stars twinkled brightly, Mira noticed a particularly bright star that seemed to pulse with a gentle rhythm. She felt drawn to it, sensing that it had something important to tell her. As she focused on the star, she felt herself being transported to a place beyond time, where the star's wisdom was as clear as the night sky. The star began to share its story with Mira. It spoke of the importance of perseverance, recounting a tale of a young warrior who, despite overwhelming odds, never gave up on his quest. It told her about the power of compassion, sharing the story of a healer who had brought peace to a war-torn land through her kindness. The star also spoke of balance, reminding Mira that just as the stars need both light and dark to shine, so too does life require balance between work and rest, joy and sorrow. As the star's story unfolded, Mira felt a deep sense of peace and understanding. She realized that the wisdom of the stars was not just in their stories, but in the way they guided her to see her own life from a new perspective. The stars taught her that every experience, every challenge, was part of a greater story, one that she was writing each day. Mira returned to her village with a heart full of wisdom, She shared the stars' stories with others, helping them to find guidance and comfort in their own lives. And each night, she continued to gaze at the stars, knowing that they would always be there to guide her. Now, dear listener, choose a star in the sky above. What story does it have for you? Listen closely as it shares its wisdom, and let that wisdom illuminate your path. The stars have seen countless stories unfold, and their wisdom is always available to those who seek it. Look to the stars and let their light guide your way.
The bridge of balance.
Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a great chasm, with a narrow bridge stretching across. This is no ordinary bridge. It's the bridge of balance, where every step is a test of your inner equilibrium. In a land of deep valleys and high peaks, there was a legendary bridge known as the Bridge of Balance. The bridge spanned a vast chasm, connecting two towering cliffs. It was said that those who could cross the bridge without faltering would find a deep sense of inner peace and harmony. But crossing the bridge was no easy task, for it required not just physical balance, but emotional and spiritual balance as well. A young acrobat named Talia, known for her grace and agility, decided to attempt the crossing. Talia had always prided herself on her physical skills, but she often struggled with balancing the demands of her life, her career, her relationships, and her own well-being. She hoped that by crossing the bridge of balance, she might find a way to bring more harmony into her life. As Talia stepped onto the bridge, she immediately felt its narrowness and the way it swayed gently with each movement. She focused on her breathing, calming her mind, and took careful, deliberate steps. But as she moved forward, she found her thoughts drifting to the stresses of her life, the pressures of her career, the expectations of others, and the sacrifices she had made. The bridge wobbled dangerously, reflecting her inner turmoil. Realizing that she couldn't rely on her physical abilities alone, Talia paused and took a deep breath. She reminded herself of the importance of balance, not just in her body, but in her mind and spirit. She began to focus on the things that brought her joy, the love and support of her family, and the fulfillment she found in her art. As she centered herself, the bridge steadied beneath her. With each step, Talia found her balance, not by ignoring her struggles, but by embracing them and finding harmony between her different responsibilities. She reached the other side of the bridge with a sense of calm and clarity she had never felt before. Talia realized that balance was not about perfection, but about continuously adjusting, staying grounded, and finding peace within the chaos. Now, imagine yourself stepping onto the bridge of balance with Talia. What part of your life feels unsteady? As you walk, focus on finding your center. Let the bridge guide you toward a place of inner harmony. Balance is a lifelong journey, a dance between the different aspects of our lives. Keep walking, keep adjusting, and you will find your way.
The candle of hope.
In the darkness, a single candle flickers, casting a warm, golden light. This is no ordinary candle. It's the candle of hope, a beacon in the night, guiding lost souls back to the light. In a world often overshadowed by darkness, there was a candle known as the candle of hope. This candle had been passed down through generations, and it was said that its flame could never be extinguished, as long as even a single person believed in the power of hope. A young woman named Ilara had fallen into despair after a series of misfortunes. She had lost her job, her home, and her sense of purpose. The weight of her struggles had dimmed her spirit, and she felt as though the darkness might consume her. In her darkest hour, Ilara remembered the story her grandmother had told her about the candle of hope. Desperate for a glimmer of light, she sought out the candle, which was kept in a small shrine at the edge of the village. When Ilara found the candle, its flame was small, barely flickering, but still alive. She sat beside it, staring into the tiny flame, and for the first time in a long while, she allowed herself to hope. She thought about the things she still had, her health, her friends, her skills, and she began to feel a faint warmth in her heart. As she focused on that warmth, the candle's flame grew brighter, casting a soft glow that pushed back the shadows around her. Ilara realized that hope was like a candle in the darkness. It might start as a small, fragile light, but with care and attention, it could grow into a beacon of strength and resilience. The candle reminded her that even in the darkest times, there was always a reason to hope, always a light that could guide her forward. With renewed determination, Alara began to rebuild her life, one step at a time. The candle of hope continued to burn brightly, a symbol of her inner strength and the light she carried within her. She learned that hope wasn't about ignoring the darkness, but about finding the courage to light a candle, no matter how small, and let it guide her through. Imagine yourself sitting with Alara beside the candle of hope. What hopes do you carry in your heart? As you focus on those hopes, watch as the flame grows brighter. Let its light fill you with warmth and strength. Hope is a light in the darkness, a flame that never goes out as long as we believe. Keep your candle burning bright and let it guide you through even the darkest nights.
The Silent Symphony.
Close your eyes and listen closely. In the stillness, there's a symphony waiting to be heard, one that plays without sound. Let me guide you through the silent symphony. In a village where music was life, every street and home was filled with melody. However, there was one person who could not hear the music, an elderly man named Silas, who had been deaf since birth. Silas had always admired the joy that music brought to others, but he had never experienced it himself. One day, a renowned musician named Alina visited the village, bringing with her an instrument that could only be played in complete silence. Curious, Silas attended her performance, not knowing what to expect. As Alina began to play, the crowd grew silent, captivated by the invisible notes she seemed to conjure from the air. Though there was no sound, the expressions on the faces of those around him told Silas that they were hearing something extraordinary. Alina noticed Silas in the audience and, after the performance, approached him. She explained that the instrument was special. It resonated with the heart and soul rather than the ears. Silas was intrigued and asked Alina to teach him how to play. Over time, she taught him to feel the vibrations of the world around him, to sense the rhythm of life itself. Silas learned to hear the silent symphony of existence, the rustling of leaves, the beating of his own heart, the rise and fall of breath. Through this experience, Silas discovered that music was not just about sound, but about connection and emotion. He realized that everyone had their own symphony, even in silence, and that true harmony could be found within. Silas began to share his newfound understanding with others, teaching them to listen not just with their ears, but with their entire being. Now, dear listener, imagine yourself in Silas's place. Close your eyes and tune into the silent symphony of your own life. What rhythms and melodies can you sense within and around you? Feel the music that exists beyond sound. The most profound music often comes from within. Listen closely to the silent symphony of your life, and you will find harmony in the quietest moments.
The Timekeeper's Garden.
Step into a magical garden where time flows differently, where each moment is a seed waiting to bloom. Welcome to the Timekeeper's Garden. In a secluded valley, there was a garden unlike any other, tended by an ancient timekeeper named Aveline. The garden was filled with all kinds of plants. Some grew instantly, blooming brightly for a moment before fading, while others took years, even centuries, to reach their full glory. Each plant represented a moment in time, carefully nurtured and tended to by Aveline. One day, a traveler named Jonas, weary from his long journey and feeling the weight of wasted time, stumbled upon the garden. He marveled at the beauty of the flowers and the intricate patterns of the vines. But what caught his attention most was a small sapling that seemed to be struggling to grow, despite the care Aveline was giving it. Curious, Jonas asked Aveline about the sapling. She explained that it represented the time Jonas had spent worrying about the future and regretting the past. These thoughts, she said, were like weeds, choking the life out of the present moment, making it difficult for the sapling to grow. Aveline showed Jonas how, by focusing on the present, by watering the sapling with attention and care, it could flourish and bear fruit. Jonas spent many days in the garden, learning from Aveline how to tend to his moments. He discovered that some moments needed patience, others needed action, and some simply needed to be appreciated for their beauty. As he nurtured the sapling, it grew strong, eventually blossoming into a magnificent tree, its branches heavy with the fruit of wisdom. Imagine yourself in the timekeeper's garden, tending to your own sapling. What moments in your life need more care and attention? Picture yourself nurturing them and watch as your tree begins to grow and flourish. Time, like a garden, must be tended to with care. Nurture your moments, and you will harvest the fruits of a life well lived.
The bridge of forgiveness.
See a bridge stretching over a deep canyon. This is the bridge of forgiveness, where you can let go of past hurts and find freedom on the other side. Let's walk it together. In a land divided by a deep, wide canyon, there was a single bridge known as the Bridge of Forgiveness. It was said that anyone who crossed the bridge with an open heart would be freed from the burdens of anger, resentment, and pain, finding peace and reconciliation on the other side. A man named Joran, who had been wronged deeply by a close friend, came to the bridge. He had held onto his anger for many years, unable to forgive or forget the betrayal. The weight of his resentment had grown heavier with time, affecting his relationships and his happiness. Joran knew that he needed to cross the bridge, but he was afraid of letting go. As Joran stood at the edge of the bridge, he hesitated. The canyon below seemed to mirror the chasm in his heart, deep, dark, and unforgiving. But then he noticed something. On the other side of the bridge, the landscape was bathed in light, green and full of life. It was a place of peace, a stark contrast to the barren land where he stood. With a deep breath, Joran took his first step onto the bridge. As he walked, memories of the betrayal flooded his mind. He felt the anger, the hurt, the sense of loss. But with each step, the bridge seemed to absorb these emotions, leaving him feeling lighter. Joran realized that forgiveness was not about forgetting what had happened or excusing the wrong, but about freeing himself from the prison of his own bitterness. When Joran reached the other side, he felt a profound sense of release. The heavy burden he had carried for so long was gone, replaced by a feeling of peace. He knew that he had forgiven his friend, not to absolve the past, but to reclaim his own life. The bridge of forgiveness had shown him the way to healing and freedom. Imagine yourself standing at the bridge of forgiveness. What hurt or anger are you carrying? As you walk across the bridge, feel those burdens lift with each step until you reach the other side, free and at peace. Forgiveness is a journey across a bridge that leads to freedom and healing. By letting go of past hurts, you free yourself to move forward with peace and grace.
The echo of choices.
Listen closely. You can hear a distant echo, repeating softly through the air. This is the chamber of reflections, where each decision you make sends ripples through your life. Let's explore its meaning together. In a secluded valley, surrounded by mountains, there was a mystical place known as the Chamber of Reflections. This chamber had the unique ability to echo back not just what was spoken, but also the potential consequences of the choices behind those words. A young woman named Layla, faced with a significant life decision, entered the chamber in search of clarity. She had been offered an exciting opportunity far from home, but it meant leaving her familiar surroundings and loved ones behind. Torn between the promise of new experiences and her deep connections to her roots, Layla hoped the chamber could help her make a decision. As Layla stood in the center of the chamber, she voiced her dilemma, expressing her aspirations for success and her concerns about leaving what she knew. The chamber responded with a series of echoes, some clear, others distorted, reflecting various paths her life could take. One echo resonated with feelings of isolation and regret, while another vibrated with excitement and growth. A more subtle echo suggested that there might be a way to find a balance between her ambitions and her connections. Overwhelmed by the conflicting echoes, Layla took a moment to reflect. She realized that each echo represented a different possible outcome, shaped by the choices she made. The chamber was not providing a definitive answer, but was highlighting the importance of considering the impact of her decisions. Layla understood that no choice was perfect, only the one that felt most aligned with her values and desires. She recognized the need to trust her instincts and embrace the journey, knowing that every path would come with both challenges and rewards. The echoes reminded her that her decisions were her own to make, and that the life she crafted would be a result of those choices. With newfound clarity, Layla left the chamber of reflections. She decided to pursue the opportunity, but she also committed to staying connected with her roots and making regular visits home. She found a way to honor both her aspirations and her connections, choosing a path that resonated with her true self. Imagine standing in the chamber of reflections, hearing the echoes of your choices. What decisions are you facing? Listen carefully to the echoes. What insights do they offer about the possible outcomes? Trust in your inner voice to guide you toward a path that aligns with your heart. The Chamber of Reflections teaches us that every decision we make sends ripples through our lives. By considering the potential consequences and listening to our inner voice, we can choose paths that resonate with our true selves.
The compass of purpose.
Imagine holding a small, ancient compass in your hand. This is the compass of purpose, guiding you toward your true north, your life's calling. Let's follow the compass together. In a small, coastal village, there was a legend about a compass that could lead its holder to their true purpose in life. This compass, known as the compass of purpose, was said to always point toward the path that would bring the greatest fulfillment and meaning. A sailor named Reese, who had spent years at sea without ever feeling truly satisfied, heard of the compass of purpose and decided to search for it. He had sailed to many places and seen many things, but he always felt that something was missing, a deeper sense of purpose that he couldn't quite find. After months of searching, Reese finally found the compass in an old, forgotten shop. It was small and unassuming, but as soon as he held it in his hand, he felt a strange pull, as if the compass was gently guiding him. Reese set out on a journey, following the direction of the compass with hope in his heart. The compass led Reese to places he had never intended to go: remote islands, quiet villages, and wild, untamed lands. Along the way, he met people who taught him new skills, shared their stories, and showed him the beauty of living with purpose. Reese began to realize that the compass was not just pointing him toward a destination, but guiding him to experiences and connections that enriched his life in unexpected ways. One day, the compass led Reese back to his own village, the place where his journey had begun. As he stood on the shore, looking out at the sea, he suddenly understood what the compass had been trying to show him all along. His purpose was not about finding a specific place or achieving a particular goal, but about the journey itself, the people he met, the lessons he learned, and the person he became along the way. Reese put the compass away, knowing that he no longer needed it. He had found his true purpose, not in a far-off land, but within himself. He returned to the sea, this time with a heart full of contentment, knowing that he was exactly where he was meant to be. Imagine holding the compass of purpose in your hand. Where is it guiding you? What experiences or people might it be leading you to? Trust in its guidance, knowing that your purpose is revealed through the journey, not just the destination. The compass of purpose teaches us that our life's calling is not about reaching a specific destination, but about the journey itself. Trust in the experiences and connections along the way, and you will find your true purpose.
The mountain of patience.
Envision a towering mountain, majestic and unwavering. This is the mountain of patience, where each step brings you closer to your goals, no matter how steep the climb. Let's begin our ascent together. There was once a village at the base of a towering mountain, known to the locals as the Mountain of Patience. The mountain was said to grant wishes to those who reached its summit, but the journey was long, arduous, and required immense patience. A young farmer named Rowan, frustrated with the slow progress of his crops, decided to climb the mountain, seeking a wish for a bountiful harvest. Determined to reach the top quickly, Rowan set out with haste. packing only what he thought was necessary. However, as he climbed, the path grew steeper and the weather more unpredictable. Days turned into weeks, and Rowan found himself exhausted and discouraged. One day, as Rowan rested on a narrow ledge, an old hermit appeared. The hermit, who lived halfway up the mountain, invited Rowan to stay in his small cave. There, the hermit taught Rowan about the importance of patience. He explained that the mountain could not be rushed. It demanded a steady, persistent pace and a willingness to endure challenges without losing heart. Rowan spent several weeks with the hermit, learning to slow down and appreciate the journey. He noticed the beauty in the small things, the way the sunlight broke through the clouds, the sound of the wind through the trees, and the strength he gained with each step. The more he practiced patience, the more the mountain seemed to welcome him. When Rowan finally reached the summit, he found not a magical wish-granting stone, but a clear view of the valley below. From the top, he could see his village and his farm, and he realized that the journey up the mountain had changed him. He no longer sought a quick fix for his crops. Instead, he understood that true growth, like the climb, required time, care, and patience. Rowan descended the mountain with a renewed sense of purpose. Back at his farm, he tended to his fields with patience, knowing that the rewards would come in time. And indeed, his crops flourished, but more importantly, so did his understanding of life's natural rhythms. Imagine yourself climbing the mountain of patience. What challenges are you facing that require patience? With each step, feel yourself growing stronger, more resilient, and more at peace with the pace of your journey. The mountain of patience teaches us that true progress often comes slowly, and that enduring the journey with persistence and grace is the key to achieving our goals.
The sacred stream.
Close your eyes and picture a serene forest with sunlight filtering through the trees. Hear the gentle murmur of a stream, its waters clear and soothing. This is the sacred stream, a place of spiritual insight and tranquility. Let's journey to its heart together. In the heart of an ancient forest, there flowed a stream known far and wide as the sacred stream. Legends spoke of its extraordinary ability to grant those who drank from it a profound understanding of their inner self and their place in the universe. One crisp autumn morning, a weary traveler named Aidan found himself wandering through the forest. His life had been filled with turmoil and confusion, and he longed for clarity and peace. He had heard whispers of the sacred stream and hoped it might offer him the guidance he desperately sought. As Aidan walked deeper into the forest, he was struck by its untouched beauty. The trees stood tall and proud, their leaves a mosaic of fiery reds and golds. The air was crisp, carrying the earthy scent of fallen leaves. Following the gentle sound of flowing water, Aidan soon arrived at the sacred stream. The stream was a mesmerizing sight. Its waters were perfectly clear, flowing smoothly over polished stones. Sunlight danced upon the surface, creating a sparkling display of light and shadow. Aidan knelt beside the stream and cupped his hands to drink from its refreshing waters. The cool liquid flowed over his lips and down his throat, bringing an immediate sense of calm and rejuvenation. As he drank, Aidan began to feel a deep connection with the stream and the forest around him. It was as though the waters were speaking directly to his heart. He closed his eyes and allowed himself to be immersed in the soothing sounds of the forest, the gentle rustle of leaves, the distant call of a bird, and the constant, rhythmic flow of the stream. In this moment of tranquility, Aidan's mind began to clear. He started to understand the true essence of the sacred stream. It wasn't just about the physical act of drinking, it was about the spiritual lessons it imparted. The stream seemed to convey a message of acceptance and flow. The sacred stream revealed to Aidan that, like its waters, his life needed to flow smoothly around the obstacles he encountered. Just as the stream effortlessly navigated rocks and fallen branches, Aidan realized that he too could move gracefully through life's challenges. The stream did not stop to resist or struggle against the obstacles. Instead, it adapted and continued its journey. This was a powerful metaphor for his own life. Aidan reflected on his recent struggles, his frustrations, fears, and feelings of being overwhelmed. He saw that he had been fighting against the currents of his own life, trying to force solutions rather than allowing things to unfold naturally. The stream's gentle persistence taught him the value of patience and the importance of embracing the natural flow of life. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the forest, Aidan felt a profound sense of peace. He understood that true wisdom comes from accepting and adapting to the flow of life, rather than trying to control it. The sacred stream had shown him that by aligning himself with life's natural rhythm, he could find inner tranquility and strength. Feeling deeply renewed, Aidan stood up from the stream and took a final, appreciative look at the forest. He thanked the sacred stream for its wisdom and slowly made his way back through the forest, carrying with him the lessons he had learned. He knew that life would still present challenges, but he now had the insight to navigate them with a spirit of acceptance and grace. Imagine yourself sitting by the sacred stream, feeling its peaceful presence. What challenges or obstacles are you facing in your life right now? How might you approach these difficulties with a spirit of acceptance and flexibility? Let the stream's gentle flow inspire you to find harmony and peace within your own journey. The sacred stream teaches us that true peace and wisdom come from accepting and adapting to life's natural rhythms. By flowing with the currents of our own lives, we can navigate challenges with grace and find a deep sense of tranquility.
The circle of compassion.
Picture a warm, glowing circle of light. As you step into it, you feel an overwhelming sense of love and empathy. Welcome to the circle of compassion, where the heart opens and heals. In a peaceful meadow, surrounded by tall trees and wild flowers, there was a sacred place known as the Circle of Compassion. This circle was said to be imbued with a powerful energy that could heal emotional wounds and open hearts to the pain and joy of others. A woman named Selene, who had recently suffered a great loss, came to the Circle of Compassion in search of solace. She had closed herself off from others, too afraid to feel the depth of her grief and too numb to connect with the world around her. Selene hoped that the circle might offer her some comfort. As she stepped into the circle, Selene felt a warmth wash over her, as if the very air was filled with love and understanding. She sat down in the center, closing her eyes, and allowed herself to feel everything she had been holding back: the sadness, the anger, the longing. The circle seemed to hold her gently, allowing her to process these emotions without being overwhelmed. Then, Selena began to feel something else, a deep, abiding sense of connection to others. She thought of the people who had supported her during her difficult times, and she realized how much compassion they had shown her. She also thought of others who might be suffering as she had, and she felt a strong desire to reach out to them, to offer the same compassion she had received. The Circle of Compassion helped Selene see that while pain was a part of life, so too was love and empathy. By opening her heart to her own suffering, she was able to connect more deeply with the suffering of others. And in doing so, she found a sense of peace and purpose. When Selene left the circle, she carried its warmth with her. She began to reach out to others, offering her support and understanding. And in turn, she found that her own heart healed more each day. The circle had taught her that compassion was not just a gift to others, but a path to healing her own soul. Imagine yourself sitting in the circle of compassion. What emotions do you need to process? Who in your life could use your compassion? Allow yourself to feel the warmth of connection and understanding. Compassion is a healing force that connects us all. By opening your heart to both your own pain and the pain of others, you find peace and build bridges of love and empathy.
The lighthouse of perspective.
See a tall lighthouse standing firm on a rocky cliff, its light cutting through the darkness. This is the lighthouse of perspective, guiding you to see your life from a new angle. Let's journey to the lighthouse together. On a rugged coastline, battered by storms and waves, there stood a lighthouse that had guided countless sailors to safety. This lighthouse was known not only for its bright, steady light, but also for its ability to offer a new perspective to those who sought it. A man named Marcus, who had been struggling with the challenges of his everyday life, came to the lighthouse one stormy night. He felt overwhelmed. His job was demanding, his relationship strained, and he could not see a way forward. Marcus hoped that the lighthouse could help him find clarity. As Marcus climbed the steep, winding stairs to the top of the lighthouse, he could hear the wind howling outside. It felt as though the storm mirrored the turmoil in his own mind. But when he finally reached the top and stepped out onto the balcony, he was greeted by a breathtaking view. The storm was fierce, but the light from the lighthouse cut through the darkness, illuminating the vast ocean below. From this high vantage point, Marcus could see the bigger picture. The problems that had seemed so overwhelming on the ground appeared smaller, more manageable from up here. He realized that he had been too close to his struggles, unable to see beyond them. The lighthouse showed him that by stepping back and gaining perspective, he could find a way to navigate through his challenges. Marcus stayed at the top of the lighthouse for a long time, watching the waves crash against the rocks below. He began to see his life in a new light, recognizing that while the storm was real, it was not insurmountable. With the right perspective, he could find a path through it, just as the lighthouse guided ships through the darkest nights. When Marcus descended the lighthouse, he felt a renewed sense of calm and determination. He returned to his life with a clearer vision, ready to face his challenges with the understanding that sometimes all he needed was a new perspective. Imagine yourself standing at the top of the lighthouse of perspective, looking out over your life. What challenges seem smaller from up here? How can a new perspective help you navigate through your storm? Let the light guide you. The lighthouse of perspective teaches us that by stepping back and seeing the bigger picture, we can gain clarity and find our way through even the darkest of storms. tree of dreams. Imagine a magnificent tree with branches that reach out to the stars. Each leaf and blossom represents a dream. This is the tree of dreams, where all your hopes and aspirations come to life. In the heart of a mystical forest, there stood an ancient tree known as the Tree of Dreams. Its branches were always in bloom, covered with leaves, flowers, and fruit, each one representing the dreams and aspirations of those who visited it. A young artist named Kala, who had lost faith in her dreams, came to the tree one night. She had once been full of inspiration and hope, but after years of struggle and rejection, she felt that her dreams were slipping away. Kala hoped that the Tree of Dreams could reignite her passion and give her the strength to continue. As Kala stood beneath the tree, she marveled at its beauty. The leaves rustled softly in the wind, and as she reached out to touch them, she felt a surge of warmth and energy. Each leaf seemed to glow with the light of a different dream. Some were her own, while others belonged to people she had never met. The tree was alive with possibility. Kala closed her eyes and imagined her dreams taking root in the tree. She saw them growing strong and vibrant, reaching up towards the sky. The Tree of Dreams whispered to her, reminding her that dreams, like the tree, need time and care to grow. They may face storms and droughts, but with perseverance and faith, they can flourish. As Kala opened her eyes, she felt a renewed sense of hope. The Tree of Dreams had reminded her that her aspirations were still alive, waiting for her to nurture them. She understood that her journey was far from over, and that her dreams were worth fighting for. Kala left the tree with a new resolve. She returned to her work with passion and determination, knowing that her dreams were not lost, but simply waiting for the right moment to bloom. Imagine yourself standing beneath the Tree of Dreams. What dreams have you nurtured, and which ones have you let wither? Feel the energy of the tree and let it remind you that your dreams are still alive, waiting for you to tend to them. The Tree of Dreams reminds us that our aspirations need care and perseverance to grow. Keep your dreams alive, nurture them with hope and effort, and watch them blossom into reality.
The Lantern Bearer's Path.
Picture a dark night with a single lantern lighting the way. You are the lantern bearer, guiding yourself and others through the darkness. Let's walk the lantern bearer's path. In a village surrounded by dense, shadowy forests, there was a tradition that had been passed down for generations. Each night, a lantern bearer would walk through the village, lighting the way for those who had lost their way in the darkness. The lantern bearer was not just a guide, but a symbol of hope, showing that even in the darkest times, there was always a light to follow. A young woman named Ilara had recently taken up the role of the lantern bearer. She was honored to carry the lantern, but she also felt a heavy responsibility. The village had been through a difficult time. Crops had failed, sickness had spread, and many had lost hope. Alara knew that her light was more important than ever, but she also felt the weight of the darkness pressing in on her. As Alara walked the lantern bearer's path each night, she encountered people who were struggling. Some had lost their way, others were too afraid to move forward. She listened to their worries and fears, offering words of comfort as she guided them back to safety. But the more people she helped, the more Alara felt her own light dimming. The darkness seemed overwhelming, and she began to doubt whether her light was strong enough to make a difference. One night, as Alara walked the path alone, she paused and looked at the lantern in her hand. The flame flickered weakly, barely illuminating the path ahead. Alara felt a deep sense of despair. How could she continue to guide others when her own light was fading? Just then, an old man appeared on the path. He was a former lantern bearer, and he had noticed Alara's struggle. He told her that the light she carried was not just hers, but a reflection of the hope and strength of the entire village. The more she shared her light, the brighter it would become. He reminded her that even the smallest light could pierce the deepest darkness. Alara realized that the light she carried was not just a burden, but a gift. It was a symbol of resilience and hope, not just for others, but for herself as well. She took a deep breath, rekindled the flame in her lantern, and continued down the path with renewed strength. As Alara walked through the village, her light grew brighter, and the darkness seemed less daunting. The people she encountered felt a renewed sense of hope, and Alara herself felt lighter, knowing that she was not alone in carrying the light. The village slowly began to heal, and the lantern bearer's path became a symbol of hope for all who walked it. Imagine yourself as the lantern bearer, walking through the darkness with your light. How does it feel to carry the light for yourself and others? Remember, your light is stronger than you think, and it can guide you through even the darkest times. In the darkness, we all have the power to carry a light. Share your light with others, and you will find that it grows stronger, guiding you and those around you through the night.
The Keeper of Time.
Step into a quiet room filled with the ticking of clocks. Here lives the Keeper of Time, who holds the secrets of past, present, and future. Let's meet the Keeper of Time. In a secluded tower, far from the hustle and bustle of the world, there lived an enigmatic figure known as the Keeper of Time. The Keeper was said to have the ability to see all of time, past, present, and future, and to understand how they intertwined. People would seek the Keeper's counsel, when they felt lost in the flow of time, unsure of how to move forward. A scholar named Alaric, burdened by regrets from his past and fears about his future, came to the Keeper of Time seeking solace. He had spent years dwelling on mistakes he had made, worrying about the consequences, and feeling trapped by the passage of time. The Keeper of Time welcomed Alaric and invited him to sit among the countless clocks that filled the room. Some ticked loudly, marking each second with precision, while others moved more slowly, their hands drifting lazily across the face of time. The Keeper explained that time was not a strict, unyielding force, but a flowing river, and that each moment, whether in the past or future, was part of a greater whole. The Keeper showed Alaric a clock that moved in reverse, its hands spinning backward. As Alaric watched, he saw moments from his past replay. Some were painful, others joyful. The Keeper told him that the past could not be changed, but it could be understood and accepted. Alaric realized that his regrets were like weights, anchoring him in a place he no longer needed to be. Next, the Keeper showed Alaric a clock that moved quickly forward, racing through the future. Alaric saw visions of what might be, each possibility flickering by like a candle in the wind. The Keeper reminded him that the future was not set in stone, but shaped by his choices in the present. Alaric understood that his fears of the future were only shadows, and that by focusing on the present, he could shape the path ahead. Finally, the Keeper showed Alaric a clock that moved at a steady, calm pace, its hands marking each moment with a gentle rhythm. The Keeper told him that this was the clock of the present, the only moment over which he had true control. Alaric realized that by living fully in the present, he could free himself from the burdens of the past and the anxieties of the future. With this newfound understanding, Alaric left the Keeper of Time's tower, feeling lighter and more at peace. He knew that while time would continue to flow, he had the power to choose how he lived each moment. Imagine yourself sitting with the Keeper of Time, watching the clocks. How do you feel about the past, the present, and the future? What can you let go of from the past? How can you embrace the present moment more fully? Time is a river that flows through our lives, connecting past, present, and future. By living in the present, we can free ourselves from the weight of the past and the fears of the future.
The echoes of the canyon.
Stand with me at the edge of a vast canyon, where every sound echoes back, teaching us about the power of our words. This is the story of the echoes of the canyon. In a land of towering cliffs and deep canyons, there was a place known for its remarkable echoes. The people of the nearby village believed that the canyon was alive, reflecting not just sound, but the emotions and intentions behind the words spoken into it. They called it the Echoing Canyon. A young woman named Maris, who had recently quarreled with her closest friend, visited the canyon in search of solace. Her harsh words during the argument had left her feeling guilty and remorseful. As she stood at the edge of the canyon, she shouted her frustration into the vast expanse, hoping to release her anger. To her surprise, the canyon didn't just echo her words back. It amplified them, sending her angry voice booming back at her, louder and more intense. Shocked by the intensity of the echo, Maris realized that her words had more power than she had imagined. The canyon seemed to be teaching her a lesson, that what we put out into the world, especially in our words, comes back to us, often magnified. Reflecting on this, Maris whispered an apology into the canyon, and this time, the echo that returned was gentle, almost soothing, as if the canyon was forgiving her. Maris spent the rest of the day speaking softly into the canyon, hearing her words of kindness, love, and forgiveness echo back at her. She understood now that her words had the power to heal or hurt, and that she needed to be mindful of what she sent out into the world. When she returned to the village, she sought out her friend and apologized, this time with sincerity and care. Their friendship mended, stronger than before. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of the echoing canyon. What words would you send out into the world? Speak them softly and listen as they echo back to you. What do you hear? Our words have power, like echoes in a canyon. Choose them wisely, and they will return to you with kindness and understanding.
The Mountain of Resilience.
Stand at the base of a towering mountain where the path to the top is steep and challenging. But at the summit lies the strength you seek. This is the Mountain of Resilience. In a remote region, surrounded by endless plains, there stood a solitary mountain known as the Mountain of Resilience. It was a formidable peak with steep cliffs and harsh weather, but those who reached the summit were said to gain unshakable strength and resilience. A young man named Finn had faced many hardships in his life, loss, failure, and disappointment. He felt as though each setback had taken a piece of his spirit, leaving him weary and broken. Determined to reclaim his strength, Finn decided to climb the Mountain of Resilience, believing that the journey would restore his inner fortitude. The climb was far more difficult than Finn had anticipated. The path was treacherous, and the higher he climbed, the colder and more unforgiving the weather became. There were moments when Finn wanted to give up, when the weight of his past struggles seemed too much to bear. But each time he faltered, he remembered why he had started the journey, to find his resilience, to prove to himself that he could overcome any obstacle. As Finn continued his ascent, he discovered that the challenges he faced were not weakening him, but making him stronger. Each step required more determination, each breath more effort, but with each challenge, Finn's resolve grew. He learned to adapt to the changing conditions, to find strength within himself that he hadn't known existed. When Finn finally reached the summit, he stood on top of the world, the wind howling around him, the vast landscape stretching out below. He realized that the true reward was not the view from the top, but the strength and resilience he had gained along the way. The mountain had taught him that resilience was not about avoiding hardship, but about facing it head-on and emerging stronger. Imagine yourself climbing the mountain of resilience. What challenges are you facing in your life? With each step you take, feel your strength growing, knowing that every obstacle is making you more resilient. Resilience is forged in the face of adversity. Keep climbing, and you will find that each challenge makes you stronger, more capable of reaching new heights.
The river of letting go.
Feel the cool water of a river as it flows past you. This is no ordinary river. It carries away the burdens you no longer need to bear. Welcome to the river of letting go. In a serene forest, there was a river known as the river of letting go. The water of this river was said to have the power to wash away the burdens and worries that weighed on one's soul. People from all over would come to the river to release their troubles and find peace. A man named Tobias, who had been carrying the weight of past regrets and unresolved guilt, came to the river seeking relief. He had tried many times to move on from his past, but the memories and emotions clung to him like heavy stones, dragging him down. Desperate for peace, Tobias stood at the riverbank, hesitant to let go. An old woman who had lived near the river her entire life approached Tobias and handed him a smooth, round stone. She told him that the stone represented the burdens he was carrying. To find peace, she said, he needed to throw the stone into the river and let the current carry it away. Tobias held the stone in his hand, feeling its weight. It was small, yet it felt impossibly heavy. He thought about all the things he had been holding on to, mistakes, missed opportunities, words he wished he could take back. As he stood by the river, He realized that holding onto these burdens was only causing him more pain. With a deep breath, Tobias threw the stone into the river. He watched as it splashed into the water and was quickly carried away by the current. As the stone disappeared from sight, Tobias felt a sense of relief wash over him. The river, with its gentle flow, had taken his burden, leaving him feeling lighter and freer than he had in years. The old woman smiled and told Tobias that the river would always be there for him whenever he needed to let go. Tobias understood that letting go was not about forgetting, but about releasing the hold that the past had on him. He left the riverbank feeling renewed, ready to embrace the present and the future. Imagine yourself standing by the river of letting go, holding your own stone. What burdens are you carrying that you need to release? As you throw the stone into the river, feel the weight lift from your shoulders as the current carries it away. Letting go is a gift you give to yourself. Release your burdens into the river of letting go and allow yourself to be free.
The lighthouse of clarity.
Imagine a stormy night at sea where the waves are wild and the sky is dark. In the distance, a lighthouse shines bright, guiding lost sailors home. This is the lighthouse of clarity. On a rugged coastline, where the sea was often stormy and treacherous, there stood a solitary lighthouse. This lighthouse was a beacon of hope for sailors, guiding them safely through the darkest nights and roughest seas. The keeper of the lighthouse, an old man named Rowan, had spent his life tending to the light, knowing that it was the only thing standing between the ships and the jagged rocks below. One night, during a particularly fierce storm, a young sailor named Finn found himself lost at sea. The waves were towering, and the rain lashed against his small boat. Disoriented and afraid, Finn struggled to find his way. Just when he thought all hope was lost, he saw a faint light in the distance. It was the lighthouse, shining through the storm, offering him a chance at survival. Rowan, watching from the lighthouse, noticed Finn's small boat and immediately set to work, ensuring the light shone as brightly as possible. He knew that clarity was crucial in moments of crisis, and that his light needed to be strong to guide Finn safely home. As Finn navigated towards the light, he realized that the storm, though terrifying, had also cleared his mind. In the chaos, he had been forced to focus on what truly mattered: survival, direction, and hope. The lighthouse became a symbol for him, not just of safety, but of clarity. It reminded him that in life's storms, finding a clear path is often about focusing on the light, on what truly matters. When Finn finally reached the shore, he was exhausted but grateful. He thanked Rowan and learned that the lighthouse's light was a metaphor for clarity in life, an unwavering guide in times of confusion and doubt. From that day on, Finn carried the lesson of the lighthouse with him, always seeking clarity in moments of turmoil. Imagine yourself lost at sea, like Finn, with the storm raging around you. What light guides you through your darkest moments? Focus on that light and let it bring clarity to your mind. In the storms of life, clarity is our lighthouse. Focus on what matters most and let it guide you safely home.
The weaver's loom.
Picture a room filled with the soft sound of threads being woven together. Here, a wise weaver creates tapestries that tell the stories of our lives. Welcome to the weaver's loom. In a quiet village, nestled between rolling hills, there lived an old woman known as the weaver. Her loom was said to be magical, able to weave the threads of people's lives into tapestries that revealed their true stories. Each tapestry was unique, capturing the joys, sorrows, triumphs, and challenges of the person it depicted. One day, a young woman named Asha, feeling lost and uncertain about her path in life, visited the weaver. She hoped that by seeing her tapestry, she might find some guidance. The weaver welcomed Asha warmly and invited her to sit beside the loom as she worked. As the weaver began to weave, Asha watched in awe as the threads came together, each one representing a different part of her life. There were vibrant threads of happiness and love, dark threads of loss and pain, and threads of all colors that represented the various experiences and choices Asha had made. At one point, Asha noticed a particularly tangled section of the tapestry. The threads were knotted and twisted, creating a chaotic mess. The weaver gently worked through the tangle, slowly and patiently, until the threads were smooth again. Asha realized that this section represented a difficult time in her life, a period of confusion and struggle. But she also saw how, with patience and care, the weaver was able to untangle the mess and continue the tapestry's pattern. The weaver explained that life is like a tapestry. Each experience, whether good or bad, adds to the overall design. The tangled threads were just as important as the smooth ones, for they added depth and character to the final piece. Asha understood that her struggles were not just obstacles, but integral parts of her story, shaping who she was and who she would become. When the tapestry was complete, Asha saw a beautiful, intricate design that was uniquely hers. It was a reflection of her life, with all its highs and lows, and she felt a deep sense of peace, knowing that every thread had a purpose. Imagine yourself sitting beside the weaver as she creates your tapestry. What threads are being woven into your life right now? Are there any tangles that need patience and care? Watch as the tapestry of your life takes shape, with each thread adding to the beauty of the whole. Life is a tapestry woven from the threads of our experiences. Every thread, every moment adds to the richness of our story. Embrace the design that is uniquely yours.
The path of patience.
Imagine a long, winding path through a peaceful forest. This is the path of patience, where every step teaches us the value of waiting and growing. Let's walk it together. In a quiet, ancient forest, there was a path known as the path of patience. This path was not easy to walk. It twisted and turned, sometimes seemingly without end. But those who walked it were said to gain a deep understanding of patience and the rewards that come from it. A young woman named Lyra, who had always been impatient and eager for quick results, decided to walk the path of patience. She had heard stories of the wisdom it could impart and hoped it would help her learn to slow down and appreciate life's journey. As Lyra walked the path, she quickly grew frustrated. The path was long, and there were no shortcuts. The more she hurried, the more she seemed to miss. Beautiful flowers, the sound of birds, the gentle rustling of leaves. But Lyra was determined to reach the end as quickly as possible, believing that the reward lay there. After hours of rushing, Lyra finally stopped, exhausted. She realized she had been so focused on the end of the path that she had missed the beauty all around her. Taking a deep breath, she decided to slow down and walk more mindfully. As she did, she began to notice the small details she had overlooked: the vibrant colors of the flowers, the soothing sounds of the forest, the feel of the earth beneath her feet. Lyra realized that the path of patience was not just about reaching the end, but about the journey itself. The path taught her that life's rewards often come not from rushing to the finish, but from taking the time to appreciate each step along the way. When Lyra finally reached the end of the path, she found not a grand prize, but a simple, beautiful clearing where the sun shone warmly on her face. She sat down, feeling a deep sense of peace and fulfillment, knowing that the true reward had been the journey itself. Imagine yourself walking the path of patience. Are you rushing to reach the end, or are you taking the time to enjoy the journey? Slow down and notice the beauty around you with each step. Patience is not just about waiting, but about embracing the journey. Take each step mindfully, and you will find beauty in every moment.
The lantern of perspective.
Picture a dark path ahead with only a small lantern to light the way. But this is no ordinary lantern. It can change how you see the world. Let's journey with the lantern of perspective. In a town surrounded by thick, misty forests, there was an old tradition. Each year, the townsfolk would journey through the woods with a special lantern known as the lantern of perspective. This lantern had the unique ability to change the way things appeared, offering new insights to those who carried it. A man named Oren, struggling with his life's direction, decided to take the journey with the lantern of perspective. He hoped that it would help him see things more clearly. As he walked through the misty woods, the lantern cast a soft glow around him, illuminating the path ahead. At first, Oren noticed only the shadows and the eerie shapes of the trees. The forest seemed foreboding and confusing, much like his own life. But as he continued, he adjusted the lantern's light, and the shadows began to shift. What once appeared as threatening shapes now looked like ancient, wise trees, their branches reaching out to guide him. The lantern revealed hidden paths that Oren hadn't noticed before, and as he followed them, he discovered beautiful, serene glades filled with flowers and streams. The journey, which had seemed daunting and unclear, now felt peaceful and full of potential. Oren realized that the lantern was teaching him an important lesson. Perspective is everything. The way we choose to see the world can transform our experience of it. When Oren returned to the town, he felt renewed. He understood that by changing his perspective, he could find clarity and peace, even in the most confusing times. The lantern of perspective had shown him that there were always new ways to look at the world, and that sometimes all it took was a shift in light to reveal the path forward. Imagine yourself walking through the misty woods with a lantern of perspective. What does the lantern reveal to you as you adjust its light? How can a change in perspective help you see your path more clearly? Perspective is a powerful tool that can change the way we see the world. Adjust your light, and you may find new paths where once there were only shadows.
The garden of choices.
Step into a garden where every flower and tree represents a choice. Each path you take leads to a different outcome. Welcome to the garden of choices. In a lush valley, there was a garden unlike any other. Known as the Garden of Choices, it was a place where every plant symbolized a decision, and every path led to a different outcome. The garden was said to be a reflection of the choices one had made in life, as well as the choices yet to come. A scholar named Elias, who had always struggled with indecision, came to the Garden of Choices hoping to find clarity. He had reached a point in his life where he was overwhelmed by the many paths available to him and he hoped that the garden might offer some guidance. As Elias wandered through the garden, he noticed that some paths were lined with beautiful, vibrant flowers, while others were overgrown with thorns and weeds. He realized that these paths represented the choices he had made in the past. Some had led to joy and success, while others had brought pain and difficulty. But as he continued to explore, Elias discovered that each path, no matter how beautiful or thorny, eventually led to a place of growth and learning. In the center of the garden, Elias found a tree with branches that stretched out in all directions, each branch leading to a different flower or fruit. The tree, he understood, represented the choices he had yet to make. Elias sat beneath the tree, contemplating his future. He realized that while the garden showed the outcomes of past choices, it also offered the possibility of new paths and new beginnings. Elias understood that life was a series of choices, each one leading to a different experience, but all ultimately contributing to his growth and understanding. He no longer felt paralyzed by indecision, knowing that whatever path he chose, he would find something valuable along the way. Imagine yourself in the garden of choices, standing before the tree with its many branches. What choices lie before you? As you explore each path, what do you see? Remember, every choice leads to growth and learning, no matter which one you take. Life is a garden of choices, each path offering its own unique journey. Trust in your ability to choose, knowing that every path leads to growth.
The wisdom of the waves.
Feel the soft sand beneath your feet and the cool breeze on your face as we stand at the edge of the ocean. Listen closely, for the waves have stories to tell. Welcome to the wisdom of the waves. On the shores of a distant island, the ocean was revered as a teacher, its waves constantly moving, constantly changing, yet always there. The islanders believed that the waves carried with them the wisdom of the world, whispering